Guys, Threelly here, welcome. On this channel, I make videos around technology tips, career advice, and inspiration, helping you elevate your career, earn more money, so you can live a better life. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing for more videos like this. In today's video, we're going to be looking and talking about a very fascinating article and a report. This article is going to show us 10 cloud computing statistics you need to know about. We know the cloud is here and is here to stay. A lot of technology professionals are very well aware of the cloud. A lot of companies are moving to the cloud. Now, what are some of the numbers? What do the numbers tell us? What are the things you should be caring about when it comes to cloud computing? This article is going to give us 10 things you should definitely care about. So we're going to go in, review what those 10 things are. And as always, you're going to get my opinion as we go. So that said, let's dive right in. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this very clearly on the screen. The very first one is a little bit shocking to me, but I don't know if it's going to be shocking to you guys. 71%, all right? 71% look for speed improvement, and 63% want a greater flexibility. 57% picked improved customer support as a primary driver to the cloud, and this is coming from ITG. So if you're asking, why are companies moving to the cloud? Why are organizations thinking about the cloud? There you have it. 71% of them are looking to improve speed. All right, how can you translate this to the business terms? It means if I'm interacting with your company and I'm doing a phone call, I want to get that phone call to go through 71% faster. If a report was supposed to be generated, can we do it 71% faster? It translates into business outcomes. And that's why the cloud is here and is here to stay, because of the business benefits it can generate to organizations. 71%. That's a very interesting number. Now, let's look at the second reason why you should care about the cloud and why organizations are moving to the cloud. Now, this talks about 81% of all enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy. All right? 81% of all enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy. That is key. All right? And the reason why this is key is because we know about the big cloud players. We know of your AWS. We know of your Google. We know of your Azure, all right? Or maybe Oracle, you might throw it in there, and a few other players. But guess what? A lot of people, when they come to me or in the comment section below, the question I get is, but Threelly, I want to learn about cloud, right? Should I learn AWS or should I learn Azure or should I learn GCP? And sometimes I say, well, learn all of the above. And it seems like I'm kind of not giving a very constructive answer. But when you look at this and you see that 81% of companies are having a multi-cloud strategy, well, it means that you're going to have to learn a multi-cloud. You're going to have to take a multi-cloud approach to your learning. You cannot just learn AWS and stick to that. If your organization is going to have AWS and Google and Azure and Oracle and whatever other cloud provider there is out there, you're going to have to make sure you learn with the multi-cloud strategy at the back of your mind. So this is really important because I get that question a lot. And if that's something you've been thinking, hopefully this gives you some ideas. Now, let's look at the third one here. All right. Financial services has the highest percentage of our server images deployed in private and public cloud. And this is from McKinsey, right? So a lot of financial services are deploying to both private and public cloud. So we're not just talking about public cloud here, we're talking about both. And that's very fascinating to me because sometimes you think about financial services having a lot of regulations, right? From PII kind of data and other PCI kind of data. There is a lot of sensitivity there from a financial industry perspective. They need very robust security. If you're making a payment, you don't want that payment to go to another account. And so this is very interesting that despite some of the constraints we see from the financial services industry, from banking, from payments, and other financial services industry, there is still this huge migration and deployment to the cloud. So very fascinating there. All right. And what we're beginning to see, this doesn't talk about, is not just financial services industry. We're seeing healthcare. We're seeing, automotive. We're seeing, any industry basically that exists today more than likely would be moving to the cloud if they haven't already done so. So Very powerful to see. Now, the fourth one from this one, which is fascinating, this one really was very interesting to me. It talks about enterprise adoption of Microsoft Azure increased significantly from 43% to 58%, right? That's a growth that, we're seeing from Microsoft Azure. We know Microsoft is a formidable player when it comes to computing. They were a little bit behind the push to the cloud. AWS kind of took the lead there and they got a lot of market share. But guess what? You cannot bet against Microsoft. They have a lot of deep relationships with, existing enterprise clients with Windows and Windows servers. And so they can tap into that relationship and bring those people to the cloud. All right. That's very powerful. And that's why we're seeing this growth here and the market share seems to be increasing. So again, if you're looking to learn, a lot of people will talk about learning AWS, but do not ignore Azure. All right, do not ignore Azure. They have a very strong footprint. And if you can learn both of them or throw in Google in there, it might just be good for you. All right, the next thing that we're going to see on the list here is by the end of 2020, 67% of enterprise infrastructure will be cloud-based. All right, that's mind-blowing. Let's step back a little bit and absorb this. So as of making this video, we are in 2020 right now. By the end of 2020, 67%, that's more than 50%, by the way. A little bit obvious, but I have to spell that out. 67% of enterprise infrastructure will be cloud-based. All right, if that doesn't blow your mind in terms of what the cloud is doing and where we are, guys, I don't know what else will blow your mind. So if you have been putting aside learning the cloud or leveraging the cloud for your solutions or for your organization, hopefully this one is something that gives you a shocker. 67%. And this is just 2020. Fast forward 5 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about 99.999%, where if you're talking about having an on-premise infrastructure, it better be an extreme use case for you to be allowed to do that. All right, let's go into the point number 6. Oh, 6 and then 6. I don't know about that, but 66% of executives from 19 different industries said a multi-cloud strategy is crucial to reducing cost for them. So again, talking about multi-cloud, we saw a little bit earlier here where 81% of enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy. And not only do they have a multi-cloud strategy, what we're seeing with this is, this multi-cloud strategy is going to help them reduce cost. All right. Your strategy can help you reduce costs, increase revenue, gain, operational efficiencies. Many things you could get from a multi-cloud strategy, but this one is going to help them reduce costs. And guess what? Businesses, if you can reduce costs, people like that. All right. Now, next one here is by 2021, 98% of businesses will move. Oh, bear with me, I can't even read. Will move to multiple hybrid cloud. Again, interesting. This diversification of that cloud, diversification of the workload. Powerful. All right. 74% of tech chief financial officers says cloud computing had the most measurable impact on their business in 2017. It's a little bit of a dated one. They're talking about 2017. But if the CFOs, the chief levels in the organizations are talking about how much impact cloud computing is having on their business, this is game changer. All right, because business models are literally being turned upside down. Right, before you had your business and then you had the IT department on the side that just was a cost center. What we're seeing with the cloud and some of the new innovations is IT is literally becoming the business, especially in the world of COVID and the post-pandemic, where almost everything that was holding to going online is going online now, and they need the infrastructure, they need the cloud to run. Guys, this number is only going to keep increasing. All right, 74% of CFOs are saying cloud computing has an impact on their business, and so if you've been putting cloud on the side, you just might want to pay attention to it. Now, next one here we have very interesting. The average employee uses 36 cloud-based services in their daily routine. In their daily routine. The average employee uses 36, that's 36, cloud-based services in their daily routine. This is everything from email to spam filters to maybe your database to maybe some networking to a couple of servers to your CRM. All of these are being deployed in the cloud. They're running in the cloud, and they're using on average 36 cloud-based services in their daily routine. For me, for one, guess what? I'm recording a video hosted on YouTube right here. I check my email on Gmail in the cloud. I might maybe check my calendar, maybe check social media, check maybe Instagram, maybe check my bank statement, all running in the cloud. So we just cannot get away from this. Very, very powerful. Now we're gonna go into the last but not least. Cloud technology is so reliable, and again, I'm happy this was the last one because a lot of people are worried about reliability. But let's take a look at this. Cloud technology is so reliable when it comes to safety that 94% of businesses report significant improvement in online security after moving their data to the cloud. And this is coming from Salesforce. We know Salesforce is CRM in the cloud. All right, this is so powerful. 94% of businesses are reporting significant improvement in their online security posture after moving to the cloud. Now, a lot of people, when the cloud was just coming out, were skeptical about the cloud because of security concerns, hands down. It wasn't about the technology. It wasn't about a lot of things. It was about how secure is my data in this cloud infrastructure if someone else is managing that. And this was a big concern. Now, seeing this number at 64% should be a great sigh of relief to a lot of people who've been holding back. Banks, healthcare companies, and everything in between are running in the cloud. So if you have an organization and you're selling t-shirts on Shopify or you're just selling down Main Street, I'll be very pressed to see a scenario where you need more security than some of the top-notch companies that need the biggest security you can imagine. All right, so that security debate is already foregone, and companies are going to the cloud because it's more secure. The analogy I would see here is just think about it. Banking, right? If you got some money, $1,000 or $10,000 or $1 million, right? You have it. Would you rather take that money and put it in your house and buy a safe down the road and then put that safe in your house and put that $1 million in there in a safe in your house? Or would you rather take that money, give it to a bank whose job it is to secure money, and that bank can go out and hire the best security professionals out there to dedicate them to securing that money you've given them? All right, plus that they even put some insurance on top, where if your money gets lost, they will give you some of that money back. All right, which one of these will make more sense? A lot of people argue that, well, give it to the bank, right? There's no point putting it under your pillow or in a safe in your house. But for some reason, when it comes to data, what companies used to do was basically they have data, they go out, they hire a couple of engineers and hope that those engineers can safeguard their data in on-premise infrastructure. If a bad guy wants to get in there, more than likely they can get in there. All right. Whereas in the cloud, if you're giving it to some of the cloud providers, these guys have armies of people whose job solely, whose salary is paid only because they can keep your data safe. And if they're not doing a job at that, if they're not doing a good enough job, they don't have a job. And so where would you get the better result? So just think about it for a second now, for a lot of people who are worried about security. All right, guys. So there you have it. There you have it. We've gone through, we've seen a very fascinating article. It's one of those articles that everybody's talking about the cloud. 10 cloud computing statistics to know about, that you need to know about. Some people might be worried and say, hey, those are just statistics. But, my situation is different. Well, that's okay. If your situation is different, that's okay. But I'm a huge believer that numbers don't lie. And we've seen some very interesting numbers here. Hopefully, this kind of gives you some perspectives. It gives you some light. And whether you are an executive, a developer, an architect, a student, or just somebody who's curious about the cloud, hopefully this gives you some ideas. If you want to learn about the cloud and you've been putting it aside, hopefully this gives you an idea that, yeah, the cloud is really the future and you probably should get on board. All right. Well, thanks for watching. It's a little bit of a longer video. Hopefully this was helpful. These 10 things were relevant to you. If you like it, please do make sure you subscribe to this video. The link to this article will be in the description below. This has been Threelly, and I'll see you in the next presentation.